Now, in order to make a shit ton of money with your SMMA or your online agency business, is there's three core pillars that we have to work around to be able to do this, right? To be able to make a widely profitable agency, to say the least. Now, there's three core pillars. There's the acquisition side of things, the client acquisition, there's the sales side of things, and then there is the service delivery side of things. Now, nothing happens unless you first get good at client acquisition, which is the skill of acquiring clients. That is what acquisition means. Obviously, all of these together is acquiring clients, but as in acquiring meetings, because without meetings, you don't have any sales, and without sales, you don't have any service delivery. So they all go kind of hand in hand, and you can't really have one without having the other, to say the least. Now, let's get right into it. Now, we'll start off with acquisition because obviously it is the first pillar. And as mentioned, without acquisition, you don't have anything else. Now, let's make myself a little bit smaller. That way we can focus on the video here. Now, to go ahead and go straight into this, there's two main ways to be able to acquire clients. Now, there's cold and then there is warm inbound, right? Now, cold outreach, warm inbound. Now, cold outreach is essentially very simply explained. And I know a lot of you guys watching this will already know this, but there's probably going to be some newer people as well. Cold outreach is where you exchange your own time for meetings, right? That's how it works. This means cold calling, cold DMs, mass emailing, um, basically whatever that is called, right? It's manual, it is exhausting, it is extremely inefficient. Most gurus, most mentors, people will tell you that it is not, it is the best way, yada, yada, yada. It's not. Trust me, these people have courses to sell you for tens of thousands of dollars. That is why I don't have nothing to sell you yet. I probably will in the future. But right now, I don't have anything. So believe me, right? There's no special agenda. I'm literally trying to provide value because I'm actively doing this in my business myself. I'm growing it. I'm have my own agency. That's why I can talk about it. Now, you're likely, and if you want to make a lot of money from cold outreach, let's base it off of cold calls because that's initially what I did as well. Let's say you're doing $200 a day, right? 200, bear with me with the actual writing here. I'm not that good. If you're doing $200 a day, you're realistically going to get 1 to 2 appointments booked. And the math behind it is quite simple, right? The reason I say that is because out of 200 people, you're probably going to speak with 40 people max, depending on your number, and you probably have to change that a lot. Out of those 40 people, you're probably going to be able to pitch like 15 people up and down, not a lot of people. Out of those 15 people, after you pitch them, there's probably going to be like six people that are interested. And out of those six people, you're probably going to have like four people that you actually ask, like, let's sit down on a call, handle objections, boom, 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 boom. You go down there, realistically, 1 to 2 people on average. Yes, some days, 3 people. Yes, some days, 4 people. And yes, some days 0 people, right? That's why we have an average of 1 to 2 every single day. Now, to say the least, that is extremely exhausting, extremely time consuming. Not only that, but those cold people, they're not really interested, right? They're cold, right? Not only do you have to get them on the call, but you have to sell them on the fact, and you have to um, convince them on the fact that they need your service, right? These people, they're living their day. They don't have any specific reason to actually do some type of marketing to get some more leads. They haven't said anything. They haven't inquired about anything, filled out a form, nothing like that. You're just reaching out to them completely blindly. Hey, man, do you need this? Right? That's kind of what you're doing, right? And like, yes, it works, and I'll get into that as well, but it's just extremely inefficient, right? Because you have to first convince them to get on first to pick up. Once they pick up, you have to convince them that you're different from all the eight other people that called them the same day. Then you have to convince them that, oh, you guys need some marketing, which is a skill in itself. So you have three different times you have to convince them in just the call, right? Right after that, you have to convince them to get onto the sales call, right? And average sales calls, like showing show up rates with cold outreach, is probably around like 40 to 50% if you're really good. Some weeks you get 50, 60%, but more than that, realistically, not. You're not going to do it, even though you have multiple reminders, you have the good reminders, you have bad, whatever you're doing, right? You're not going to get at least higher than that. That is just how it is realistically, right? Now, if you base that off of it, 1 to 2 appointments per day, 40% show up rate. Not only that, once these people show up as well, they don't have the same intent that somebody from Warm has. These people will show up just for the fact of showing up, just because they respect you, respect your tone, how you show up. I'll tell you, there were multiple times where I've gone into the discovery phase, I've gone into the sales call, and I've spoken with people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I just took out the time because I liked like how you approached, like you were different from other people." Now that's good. Like, okay, yes, you were able to get them on the call, but then again, they just jumped on the call because they just wanted to see what this guy had to offer. Oh, I'll give this kid a shot. That's kind of the mindset that they're coming in with, right? They're not buyer ready. They're not really ready to make a purchase, to make a decision. They're not even interested. Like, you don't even like, you get my point, right? It's just a lot of there's just a lot of steps, right? You're kind of fighting this uphill battle, right? That's what you're doing. You're just making it harder for yourself. Now, what I'll tell you is if you don't have money, right? There's a caveat to this. If you don't have money and you don't have the experience, you're lacking the experience, and you don't have the money, essentially, do this. Best thing you can do because, as mentioned, it develops your skills, right? You get better at doing a lot of things. Like especially with cold calling, the best thing I can ever do, and I will always stand by it. The first 2 to 3 months of your business, people will tell you the first 10, 20 days you'll find a client, this and that. No, the first 2 to 3 months of your business, focus on doing cold calls. And no matter what, do cold calls, cold calls, cold calls, cold calls every single day. Hit 200, 300 dials. Just do it. Just do it. Not, don't have the intention, I'm going to book this meeting, I'm going to sell them. Yes, if that happens, that's good, but have the intention of getting better. Communication wise, skill set wise, you're going to learn to be on your feet. It's kind of like sparring in boxing, right? Do you think Muhammad Ali, Anthony Joshua, Usyk, all these boxer, Dubois, all these boxers, do you think they got good by just every single time by boxing, like just jumping into fights straight away? That's kind of the same thing. Like, you can't just jump into a sales call without any experience, right? You jump into a sales call after you've done a lot of sparring, after you've done a lot of practice. That is what cold calling is essentially. It's just literally warming you up for that and building those essential skill sets that will help you in your entrepreneurial journey 20 years from now, even, right? So do it, right? Do it 100%. Never neglect it. But if you have some experience and you have some money, anywhere from like a grand to like 3 grand to your name, enough, right? That's enough to start paid ads. You can start with as little as, let's say, a thousand a month, which is like 33 a day. You don't need more than that because 33 a day, roughly 1,000 a month. If we like an industry average, we could say is like a 20 cost per lead, 20 cost per lead, depending on your industry, but like some people get less, some people get more. $20 cost per lead. If you're spending a grand a month on average, like 50 meetings, and with 50 meetings, remember, these people, they're actually interested. They're opted in from your guarantee, from your funnel. They've seen your landing page. These people are actually interested in speaking with you. 50 people is a lot, right? Think about it. Instead of chasing people, the cold approach way, you are finally now, you're getting people to come to you. They're attracted, they're interested in you. Look at it like this here, right? Like if you're a guy and you're a man, you probably had a relationship before, you've probably been in a relationship. Ask yourself this. Is it better when like the relationship, is it better when you've been chasing the girl, when you've like kind of been this like super clingy guy and been after and like been like, oh, I have to talk with her, this, that I've been always been available? Or is it better when a girl is chasing you? What's always been the best? When a girl comes to you and when you go to the girl and you chase the girl? All obviously, if you're a guy, you understand that it's obviously when the girl comes to you, when it's a warm lead, so to say, right? It's crazy how you could talk about it that way, but it's true. It's literally is. Like, can't go against it. And that's the same with sales. With this, with the business, that's how it works, right? So the warm is always the better. Now, these people, they've seen your guarantee, they've seen your ad, they clicked on it, they're interested, they see your value proposition. Let's say you're working with real estate agents and your ad is literally 5 to 6 listings within 20 days, right? They're interested in that. They see that, okay, they want this, they're expecting a pitch when they speak with you, right? A lot more powerful, right? And the process essentially becomes like this. So instead of the process of the cold approach, it becomes like this. I know that seems like a star, but it's an ad. So ad to landing page, and from the landing page to the calendar page, and then from the calendar you go to nurture them. And nurturing is a long sequence. I'll cover that in a separate video with you guys, but just to do it for this call, and then they end up in a sales call, which I'll cover with you guys in a bit as well. Now, in terms of this, right, if you do this right, these leads are nurtured with testimonials, right, with thank you page videos, with a lot of case studies, right, and meaning that essentially when they show up to the call, they're already ready to buy, right? They coded the funnel, they seen your offer, all right, they're interested in the guarantee, right? So instead of convincing them from the start, they're already interested in the guarantee. Boom, they click in, they see, oh, this worked for John. Oh, this person is in my position. Boom, 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 boom. They see the video, they like you, they trust you a lot more. Boom, they see a lot more testimonials. If you have a YouTube page, they see a lot more. They get buyer ready. Boom, once they show up to the call, and your show up rate is a lot higher because these people have inquired about this themselves. Show up rates probably like 70, 80% on average, you could say. They show up to the call, they speak with you, they're already buyer ready, and the thing that you would have to do is literally just pitch them, understand their problems, and then you go from there. And I'll cover that in the sales side of things, actually, which we're on right now. So that's just what I wanted to tell you guys first on the acquisition side of things. There's two initial ways. You choose which way you want to go. As mentioned, if you're a beginner, you don't have a lot of experience, definitely go the cold way, not essentially just to focus on, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money. Focus on the skills, bro. Like at the end of the day, you guys have probably heard this before, but in order to achieve a goal, it's the same in business and the same in personal life. You don't achieve 15, 20, 30K a month, right? You become the person that can achieve this. You right now, ask yourself this. If you're not making any money, if you're making slight amount of money, if you had 50K in your in like coming into your account every single month, what would you do with it? Well, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know how to handle it. You wouldn't know what to do. It would just like you would end up wasting it, spending it on useless shit, and wouldn't just work, right? And that's the reason for it, because you're not the person that is able to handle that money. Once you become that person, you'll be able to get that money as soon as possible, as easy as possible. That is why you got to become the person to be able to achieve a goal, right? In the same way here, you got to do the same thing, right? You got to track these people and then you get to the certain amount of money. Now, let's cover sales with you guys real quickly. And sales, like, there's a lot of people overcomplicate sales, and honestly, like wherever you look, you kind of get confused, and you see a lot of people talking about it. It's kind of like the gym. If you watch like 10 people showing one gym exercise, you're gonna get confused, right? Now, so to cover sales, super easy. We'll divide it up in sections of percentages essentially. So we'll start off with 10%. First 10% is the intro, right? And the reason I say that is because this is where you build light rapport. And I'll cover this with you guys with examples as well. Let's make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. And let's put myself here, all right? So sales 10% is the light report. And then we have, so if you go right after that, we have you want to, for example, build some light report, you want to complement something, you want to break the ice. So let's go break the ice. And then you can go ahead and do the frame, right? So you want to set the frame. Now I'll cover this with you guys. So let's say you just jump into a sales call, and I can role play with you with you guys real quickly. Go ahead and do, hey John, it's Haider here. How's it going, man? And then you start talking with them. Obviously, how's business been going? How's everybody been? Boom, boom, boom. Good, good, good. Then you want to break the ice. Obviously, easiest way to do it is compliment something in the background. Talk about something that you can see that maybe they don't like really somebody has said before. You see artwork, you see a background, be like, hey, that's a nice artwork. People start laughing, cracking the jokes. You pretty much go off of there. And then you can go into pretty much setting the frame, right? And you don't really have to set the frame in the same way because these people have been on calls before. So you don't have to say, like, oh, we're going to do this, 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 and that. Super simple with it. Honestly, man, I'm going to be very, very honest with you. This call might take 10 minutes, it might take 40 minutes. Reason is because we want to first figure out if this makes sense, right? I'm never going to pitch you something that doesn't make sense for you. It's kind of like trying to sell you a pen when you have 10 pens already, right? Probably seen The Wolf of Wall Street, something like that. And what I want to do essentially is I want to make sure that if this is something we can genuinely help you with, if I can genuinely help you add 50K more into your business every single month, well then I'm going to try my best to try to sell you because I know I genuinely can help you. And if I can't, honestly, there's no benefit in me trying to do that, right? I'll make the money in the short term, but it wouldn't benefit you long term. It's just going to break the business on our end, and we don't like to work like that. Say something like that, right? That was just on the fly. Now, what happens is that once you're done with the intro, you're going to move into the most important part of the sales call. Believe it or not, the discovery. I don't know how many of you guys know this, but discovery is where the sale is made, right? Discovery is literally where you make the money. It is not the closing, it is not the onboarding. No, no, no. It is the discovery phase, right? This is the most important part. You want to ask strategic questions, right? So you want to ask strategic questions. You want to get to the root of their problems. That is the goal here, right? You want to understand what their problems are because that's when you can tailor the pitch accordingly, right? Now, you want to also make sure that if you do this well, you're going to steer away from any objection, right? You're not going to have any objections. And the goal is essentially, you probably heard it a lot, but like wherever you see, like in sales educations, people start talking about like, oh, objections is very important. You got to have objections. Like, I mean, I agree with it to some extent, but again, objections are literally doubts, right? They're doubts that people have in their mind. And the best thing is to get to a closing, get to the close, get to the end without having any objections, right? That is the goal. So try to steer away from them, right? And I'll give you guys this really good analogy that I got from my mentor once is that imagine you're in a boxing fight, right? You're in a boxing match and you're fighting your opponent. It is a 12-round boxing match. And what happens is that in scenario one, your name is your name, and then the other boxer isn't really relevant. But you guys are boxing, and what happens is that you're throwing all the punches in 11 rounds. And what happens is that in the 12th round, your opponents start punching you like crazy, right? And you're gassed out because you've been doing it consistent. You've been punching back, boom, 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 boom. He hasn't been doing anything. All of a sudden, he's throwing all these combos at the end in the 12th round. Very, very, very realistic because you're tired. He has all that energy. One wrong slip, you're done. Knocked out, out of the game, TKO, you're gone, right? He's won the match, right? Now, in a second scenario, what happens is that you guys are equally punching back and forth in 11 rounds, and in the 12th round, you guys have he has a little bit less energy, boom, higher chance of you winning. Kind of the same in the sales call. Imagine you not having any objections, any questions, the whole process, and then all of a sudden, towards the end of the closing, you get like 10 questions. Very, very hard to handle that because one wrong move, and this person is like, oh shit, I need to think about it. There's too much to think about. However, if you handle these objections, you don't give them the option to bubble up. A lot easier for you to close, essentially. And I can promise you that a lot easier, right? That's why you want to make sure that if you do the discovery side good, you're going to steer away from having a lot of objections, right? It's going to be a lot easier for you. Now, I'll cover that with you guys in a different video as well because I know it's a very important part of the sales side of things. Now, you have the pitch, right? Now, here you present your solution, right? You don't need like a 30-page slides deck. You really don't need it. Like it's not relevant at all. You don't need that. But what you do need is you need to make sure that you can associate your pitch and your offer with what they're looking for. So let's say here in the discovery, what they said is that when we work with a different company, they gave us share leads and they said one of their goals is to hire in more team members, essentially remove themselves from the business. All right, John. So our Ascension program, what it does essentially is that one, we make sure that all the leads are qualified. And how we do that, I'll go ahead and show you and you share your screen, you walk through that, boom, you've handled that. Second thing is, and the reason we do this is so that you guys don't have to spend a lot of time on it, right? And I know, John, that what you want to do is you want to spend a lot more time with your family. And that's exactly what we want to make sure that we can do with you as well. So what we're going to do is that we're going to have our team reach out to these people. That way, that once you're going to speak with someone, it's only going to be people that are ready to actually move and sell their home. That's what we're looking for. Something in the lines of that. That is how you go ahead and pitch. You go ahead and put in your literally what makes the most sense for you and what is the needle mover for them. That is what you want to do. You don't want to talk about automations. You don't want to talk about foundations and principle like that. No, none of that. Nobody cares. You want to talk about how it can make a difference for them and how you can help them in their business. That is what you want to do. Right after the pitch, wrapping up towards the end here, you have the closing, right? And as mentioned, if you have done the discovery part right, this part is smooth. It's really smooth. You just handle the final concerns. Oh, Haider, like, how do you get access to my Facebook account? How do you do that? How do you do that? How do we do a calendar? All right, you know what? Let's do it. That's what you want to do in the closing table. If you've done it right, that's exactly how it's going to work for you. If not, you're going to have a lot of issues here, and you just want to steer away from them, right? You just want to make them sure that they walk you through the decision, they understand the value of it, and just lock in the deal. That is what you want to do in the end here. So that is pretty much just how it works, right? So I'll just write this out for you guys. Then I'll zoom out so you guys can pretty much just take a screenshot if you guys want to. That way you guys have that as well. But that's how it works, right? I'll cover this in a lot more detail. Sales is a very, very big topic. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to cover. It goes a lot deeper than this as well. So I will cover with you guys in a lot more detail once we actually dive into that as well. And if you guys are interested in that, and then we'll cover it, right? Now, service delivery is also one of those things where I want to spend a little bit more time on it, but it's very essential. Like it's like it's one of the easiest thing, right? So once you actually get clients and you are on the service delivery side, it's a lot easier, right? So when you've already had the client, you put a post a Facebook ad, you have some automations in GHL. Most of you guys know this. It's very simple and straightforward. You call the appointments for them and you book them in, right? It's very, very easy, right? Now, let's do the math on it because the end all goal, like when it comes to making money and a lot of money, like for some people, like let's base it off of 10K a month because 10K a month is like this holy grail in the agency space. Everybody wants to make it. Even though 10K a month is literally nothing in the world, like 10K a month, you don't even you just barely are living kind of thing, right? And that's the mindset you want to have for 10K a month. Like it's not a lot, but just to base it off of it, let's do the math to 10K a month, right? Let's say you're running ads and you're spending money on ads. Let's say you're booking 100 calls per month from ads, right? If 50% show up from 100 calls, so let's say you have 100 calls, and now we're doing conservative numbers, right? So let's just say 50% show up. What's going to happen is, bear with me, I'm getting a call here. Let me just turn that off so that we can get back here. Uh, there we go. All right. So let's say you get a 50% show up rate. Now that is 50 sales calls, right? Even at a 10% closing rate, that is 5 clients per month, right? That is 5 clients per month, and you're spending on ads. Yes, let's say you're charging 2 grand per month. That is 10K per month, right? If you're charging 2K per month, you're at 10K. Not hard, not difficult math at all, right? Now, just with an average closing rate, let's just say you increase your conversion, increase your show up rate, you get more appointments booked, you get your closing rate to like 15, 20%. That's easily 20K a month. That's easily 30K a month, right? It's easy math behind it, right? With paid ads. There's literally this is how you scale like without burning out, because there's literally no reason, like you don't need to sweat 2,500 DMs a day. You don't need to cold call unless you're until your voice goes away. You just need a system that literally brings qualified leads directly to your calendar every single day. And that is the best way to make this work. That is the best and most efficient way to make sure that you make a shit ton with your agency, a shit ton money, so that you can scale, live the life you live, and just take care of your family, take care of your loved ones, and just kind of go from there. Literally how it works. It's not as hard as you think. Just work hard, make sure that you do what you got to do. Um, Make sure you stay in there for a long time, and then once you've done that, you pretty much can achieve exactly what you set your mind to, right? Remember, guys, you owe it to yourself to be great. Let me know in the comments if there's a specific video or a specific thing you want to talk about in the near future, if that's sales, service delivery, acquisition, whatever it is. And I'll cover that with you guys in the future, in one of the next videos. And I wish you guys the best. Again, remember, always, you owe it to yourself to be great, and go ahead and crush it, guys. Love you guys. Talk to you guys soon.